the things that so many of us are trying to figure out in the beginning of this pregnancy process is whether or not I'm actually pregnant. How do I know that I'm pregnant? What signs should I be looking for if I'm trying or I'm not trying? What could be some signs or symptoms that I could be pregnant? So in this video, I want to talk through a few different symptoms that you could experience, what I experienced this time around in my third pregnancy to know that I was pregnant, crazy stories as to how we came about knowing that we were pregnant, and some things that you can do if you are experiencing some of these symptoms, because of course, I'm always going to educate y'all on how to actually navigate some of these symptoms and signs of early pregnancy to get through that first trimester. So let's start at the beginning of this process for me. In all of my pregnancies, somehow I've always found out that I was pregnant very early on in the process. Not always because we had a missed period, which was the case the first time around when we were actually trying for a baby. However, the second pregnancy and for this third pregnancy, I have not had a missed period sort of symptom, okay? Because after I was breastfeeding, my periods were very inconsistent. So it wasn't like I was actually in a consistent phase because I only had a few periods, maybe 1 to 3 periods after each of these babies in breastfeeding, and then I ended up getting pregnant. So it was very inconsistent, and the missed period was not a clear sign and symptom for me. However, that is one symptom that you could be looking for, or sign that you could be looking for that you could be pregnant. If you have a missed period and you're tracking it and it's been pretty consistent over the course of your life, pre-pregnancy, that could be a sign, of course, that you are pregnant. So go ahead and take that test and see how you feel. The one thing I will note here is that depending on when you take the test, it could just be too early. So you may have to test each week for a couple of weeks just to see whether or not you're actually pregnant. However, again, that wasn't one of our symptoms or signs or things that I was actually looking for, because in our last 2 pregnancies, we weren't necessarily trying to have a baby, but we also weren't preventing ourselves from having a baby. So, you know, we kind of left it in God's hands, and, you know, we were okay and open to having more kids because I do desire to have a big family, but we were not intentionally trying to have a child at the time because our kids were still very young at the time. So that being said, how did this whole process and journey even start for us? For me, back in November, I'm currently 30 weeks pregnant, and I found out that I was pregnant in the process of us dealing with COVID. So our family actually caught COVID back in November of 2021, and we're filming this video in May of 2022, and we found that we had COVID. My husband had symptoms. The kids and I did not have symptoms. My husband dealt with them pretty well, but for the most part, he was the only one in the house that had major symptoms, okay? So while we were in our quarantine period at home, we were doing a lot of things to just keep our immune systems boosted, keep our house clean, keep our respiratory systems clear, blowing our noses, saline, rinsing, washing, doing all the things to really kind of help keep ourselves healthy so that by the end of our 10-day quarantine period, we would be okay and safe and healthy to leave the house. However, in the process of that, while the kids and I did not have any major symptoms, I did have some minor symptoms. So I was feeling fatigued, and I had some headaches, and I lost my taste and smell. Nothing that caused me to not be able to function, but, you know, noticeable symptoms. And I just thought these were COVID symptoms. I had one night where I had to go get Harper in the middle of the night because she woke up, and for some reason I picked her up, and sometimes I'll rock her back to sleep, but that night was so weird. I was like rocking her to sleep, and out of nowhere I just got this wave of like nausea over me, and I was like, I'm about to throw up. I'm about to put this girl down right now before I drop her. And I rushed to the bathroom and was like dry heaving over the toilet. Nothing ended up coming out actually, but I just felt very nauseous. I was like, I need to get water and go to sleep. I don't know what this is, but one of the signs of COVID is nausea, as is pregnancy nausea. So that being said, that was really weird for me, and I was like, this is strange. I was also having hot and cold flashes. So my body was hot one minute and then it was cold the next minute when I was sleeping. So again, some of these were COVID symptoms, but also some of them were overlapping with some pregnancy symptoms, nothing that I even considered at the time. And so one night I went to bed and I was like, okay, feel okay, everything's fine. And for some reason I was like, something is moving in my stomach. Now again, I understand for those of you who are like, you can't feel a baby at 4 weeks. Like, I get it. I know technically there's no baby kicking my stomach at that point, but I feel like I've been very connected with my body up to this point, and I was very convinced that I felt something move, okay? And to me, it was a baby. I was gonna find out if it was or wasn't, but something was moving in my stomach that I hadn't felt normally. And so the next morning I woke up and I'm like, this is really strange. I'm like extremely exhausted. The day before I actually took the test, I had a really, really, really challenging day emotionally, and I just lost it. I broke down. I was just so overwhelmed, so frustrated, had no patience. And you know, there's times where I have frustrating days, and there's moments where I don't have a lot of patience, especially when you're cramped up in the house for 10 days with kids and you don't have a break. That could be overwhelming in itself. But I was feeling so emotionally overwhelmed at that point that it was very, very different. And I just kind of had a meltdown, and I went into the bathroom and I was just crying, and that's just not me. And I was like, this is really strange. Like, why am I reacting this way? I don't know why I'm so upset about this stuff. But that was where I was emotionally at that time. So the following day, I decided to take a pregnancy test. I did not tell my husband because he had a lot of things going on with work, and I just decided, you know what? I don't want to add anything to our plates right now. I'm just going to take this test and see what it says, and if it's not anything, then I just may be overreacting, but if it is, okay, then I'm gonna have to think through what we're gonna do and how we're gonna prepare for another baby. I wanted a third child, so it wasn't going to be something that was disappointing to me, but you know, also very much a surprise. So the next morning I took a pregnancy test and it was positive, and I was like, oh, okay, this is real, this has gotten real. So, you know, to kind of backtrack here, some of the things that I was experiencing, which were also pregnancy symptoms, were nausea. So if you're feeling nauseous out of nowhere and things are kind of causing you to have food aversions, or you are feeling like you need to throw up, or you just can't keep something down, or something that used to taste or sound good to eat to you does not sound good anymore, that could be a sign of pregnancy. However, but this is also a sign of COVID, so I really was not thinking that this was a pregnancy symptom. Fatigue. I was exhausted. By the end of the day, of course, with 2 toddlers, you're gonna be exhausted anyways, but I was like crashing by the end of the night. I could not keep my eyes open. After they went to sleep, I was exhausted. And fatigue is also a very common pregnancy symptom. So if you're feeling like, I just don't have any energy, I don't know where this is coming from, it could be because you're pregnant. And that's a very common symptom of the first trimester. I also was having some headaches. Headaches could also be from dehydration, also from COVID, but it's also a sign that you are pregnant. So headaches could also be something that you're dealing with. So some of these symptoms, and then of course, mood swings, right? Mood swings are very common throughout pregnancy because our hormones are doing a lot of this and they're all over the place. And for me, my husband, he told me after, you know, I shared the news with him, he was like, yeah, I knew when you had that like meltdown, I knew that you were pregnant at that point because you were just really overreacting. And I was like, yeah, I think I was. And I had to just like walk away. I had to walk away in that moment from the kids, from them. I was like, I just need a second. And I just went and I just like let it all out. And I've never actually done that before in my life, and I'm like, this is really different. So if you're feeling like you're extremely hormonal or you're having mood swings, like it could be because you were pregnant, and those are very common symptoms and side effects that happen as a result of pregnancy, especially in the first trimester as you're having an influx of hormones that you've never had before. But ultimately, that's kind of how this whole journey started. And now we are 30 weeks in, preparing for our third child, and we're super excited. We are getting all the things together this time around. It's just a lot more challenging to kind of balance everything, but it's been a really fun journey and it's been a really smooth pregnancy, so I'm super grateful for that. Now, I want to just quickly go through what are some of the things that you can do if you're experiencing some of these symptoms that I was experiencing or some of the experiences that I've had in the past. So if you're feeling nauseous, some of the things that are really helpful are peppermint oil. using the brat diet, which is just kind of bland foods, which is bananas, rice or rice cakes, applesauce, and toast or bread, things that are really basic, rice and noodles and things that are going to hold you over but not cause you to be super nauseous because of the flavors and taste and all the things. You also could be experiencing some headaches. So at that point, I would encourage you to increase your electrolytes, because a lot of times headaches can come from dehydration. And in our first trimester, our babies are taking a lot out of us, including hydration. So we have to really increase the amount of water that we're drinking and electrolytes that we're taking in. So coconut water is really great. I love liquid IV. I love just drinking fresh alkaline water. So whatever it is that you like or prefer, try to take that in, but reduce the amount of sugar. So Gatorades are a no-go, Powerades are a no-go. Trying to do things that are going to hydrate you but not cause unnecessary sugars that will also lead to more headaches. Okay, y'all, so my camera died, so we're gonna finish this video on my phone. There could be a difference in the quality. Can't guarantee that, but we're gonna get through the video. And we're gonna give you all the information that you need to be successful, even if the quality of the video is different, because it's gonna be okay, just like you're gonna be okay in this pregnancy. So where I left off was we were talking about fatigue. If you are feeling fatigue, at this point, it's gonna be really important that you just get some rest. Don't force your body to do things, but also give your body opportunities for energy. So go for walks, work out, do some things, be in the sunlight. Vitamin D is really good for energy. Those are some things that you could also do to help fatigue, but also rest more, get more sleep at night, nap more, do all the things that you need to do to be successful in this process. Some other things that I didn't mention that I did not experience, but you could experience that could be early pregnancy symptoms, could be that you are feeling like you are constipated. When you have an influx of hormones, it could cause constipation. That could be really minor sign or symptom that you're pregnant, but who's to know? Take a test, maybe, maybe not. You could also feel like you're having some sort of food aversion. If you are experiencing weird smells or things are making you feel nauseous, or meats or fish or other things that you usually eat are causing you to feel kind of like icky because of the smell of them, you can't really stand the smell, that could also be a sign that you're pregnant as well. Hormones do some crazy things to us, y'all. So these are just a few of the things that you could experience, but ultimately our goal is to stay healthy throughout our first trimester, as healthy as we can throughout our entire pregnancy, but really trying to get through that first trimester. It is okay that we may not have the perfect diet or we may not exercise every single day during our first trimester. That is all fine and normal, but just make sure that you're taking care of yourself and make sure that you are taking care of your body and baby so that you can be well nourished during this process. Make sure to take your prenatal vitamins. Make sure that you are scheduling appointments with your provider and letting them know if you feel dizzy or anything like that. Take your time doing things. This is an adjustment period, so it's going to take some time for you to get used to not being able to do everything maybe at the same level, especially in the first trimester, while we do have lower energy levels than normal. I'm super excited for y'all if this is the first sign of you potentially going and taking that test. If you already got the positive test, congratulations. If you were just here to hear my story, thanks for listening. It's been a very interesting journey from the start, so we're very excited about it. Thank you for tuning in. If there's other questions that you have about early pregnancy or even my first trimester, make sure you leave them down in the comments below. If you found this video helpful, make sure to hit the thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe, because I will be sharing videos weekly on how to help you prepare for pregnancy, birth, and postpartum so that you and your partner can have a positive, beautiful, and empowering and fearless natural birth experience. I will see y'all on the next video.